Jury deliberations are set to begin today in the civil trial between writer E. Jean Carroll and former President Donald Trump. Carroll claims Trump raped her in a New York City department store in the 1990s and then defamed her by denying it ever happened. Lawyers for both sides presented closing arguments yesterday. So joining us now for more outside of Manhattan Federal Court is CBS News reporter Graham Cates. Graham, give our audience a sense of what attorneys for both sides presented in their closing statements yesterday.
Sure. So attorneys for Carroll painted this alleged attack as part of an MO, or a pattern of behavior, that they said Trump has displayed over the course of decades. In addition to Carroll's allegations, the jury heard from a woman who said she was assaulted by Trump on an airplane in 1979, and another woman who said that she was attacked by him in the mid-2000s. And they said that the alleged attacks tended to follow the same kind of pattern. They described them as semi-public places where he started with pleasant banter and then allegedly suddenly took a dark turn. Now, attorneys for Trump said that not only was Carroll's story unbelievable, but also the other stories. He essentially said that this was a large conspiracy against a person who the plaintiffs hated for political reasons. And then one last thing to counter that argument, Carroll's attorney said he's asking you to believe Trump, who she described as a nonstop liar, versus 11 people who she said would have had to perjure themselves on the stand during this trial.
So, but Trump's attorneys did not present a defense. They had closing arguments, but as I understand it, they didn't really bother with the defense. Did they explain why?
Yes. Trump's attorney, Joe Tacopina, said that they didn't have to call any witnesses. They said our defense is countering their witnesses. He said Trump doesn't have a story to tell because this entire thing is made up. So he gave an example. What am I going to do? Call some Bergdorf Goodman employee who doesn't exist, who couldn't have possibly witnessed this? And Bergdorf Goodman is the department store in New York City where Carroll says she was attacked by Trump in the mid-1990s.
So what are some of the items the jury will have to consider in their deliberations?
Well, so the first thing is this is a lawsuit for battery and defamation. So the first thing they have to consider is, did the attack happen? And if they conclude that there's a preponderance of evidence, and that's a lower standard than in a criminal case where you have beyond a reasonable doubt, if there's a preponderance of evidence that he is liable for this alleged attack, then they move on to the defamation claim, which is when he denied the claim, when he said Carroll's not my type and she made up the whole story. Did he commit defamation against her? And finally, if he did either of those things, is she owed damages? And one of the last witnesses heard at this trial was an expert presented by the defense who said that potential damages could be somewhere between about $300,000 and about $2.7 million.
A New York judge has barred Trump from posting evidence from his alleged hush money criminal case on social media without court approval. That's really interesting, Graham. What can you tell us?
Sure. So I want to note this is short of a gag order. The judge in this case has said from the day Trump was arraigned that he's trying to balance the interests of the case with the First Amendment rights of a presidential candidate. So what Trump isn't going to be allowed to do, though, is when evidence is turned over against him in what they call the discovery process, he can look at that evidence, but he can't make copies of it. He can't go talking about it on social media or out in public. The evidence is for the criminal case, so he can prepare his defense. That said, he's allowed to continue to talk about and continue to post about anything that's out in the public, anything that gets out there without it being turned over as evidence in the case. He'll be able to discuss, but not this other stuff that isn't for public consumption, the judge said.
And I just want to sort of reinforce that that what you just started talking about is the hush money payment, the Stormy Daniels case, because there's so many investigations and cases. So not the one that the jury is presently deliberating. It's a whole other one that's happening in New York as well. Graham, thank you very much.
Thank you.